Good morning. Welcome to Friday version of Brewing Happiness. That's right, Friday today. Oh, we're all so happy it's Friday. Wondering if I'm having technical difficulties again today. We will find out. Hopefully, it'll all be okay. Yesterday's show had to do a do-over. Had to start and then start over again because of, I don't know, some kind of gremlin in the system. Who knows? Anyway, today, so music makes us happy, right? Everyone loves music. Do you know anybody that doesn't like music? I mean, we all like different types. It's amazing to me how we find different types of music interesting, but music is important in our lives. It has such power over us, the power of memory, the power to transport us back to a different day and a different time just by hearing a song. I call it sometimes the soundtrack of my life. There are songs that just are so impactful or take me back directly to not just a time, sometimes to a specific moment in time, right? That's how powerful music can be to us. So it turns out in studies that we are actually hardwired to love music. Shocking, right? It turns out that when we listen to music, it releases that little chemical dopamine, our reward system, and dopamine says, oh, yay, little burst of happiness, right? Little bit of happiness based on listening to music. Now, normally dopamine and the reward system is a part of our brain. It's part of our primitive brain that helps with evolution, right? It was to help us sense fear, or, well, it's a survival technique, right? The brain releases those feel-good chems when we have sex, when we eat, when we are moving, when we're creating, right? All the things that are linked to evolution and survival. So why would music be in that group? Because as much as we love it, probably not essential to survival, right? Now, some people just think it's an accident that we evolved our emotions, right, to navigate a dangerous world. Not an accident that we evolved, but that music is in this. It's an accident that music falls into the same category as the emotions that we evolved to help us in a dangerous world. We have fear to help us survive, right? Joy for social situations. Somehow the tones and the beats of music, the rhythm, the musicality of music activates similar areas in our brain as do those deep emotions, our very, very deep emotions. Don't know why. Like I said, some theories, but nobody really knows why. Now, Robert Zatorre says, he's a neuroscientist at McGill University, says that here's the deal, though. Once it evolved, it became very, very important to us. So we're not sure how it got in our lexicon of stuff our brain responds to, but it does. Now, all sound, right, is just molecules vibrating in the air. It's all about vibration. It doesn't matter. Everything's about, even us. We're all about even ourselves. We're created through vibration. So it seems that vibrations are super important to us and have the ability, if we as mass, if humans and all mass is nothing but molecules vibrating so fast around each other that we appear as solid matter, that it makes sense that sound, vibrations, organized sounds and vibrations, which is what music is, right? Organized sounds and vibrations, is highly impactful to us because we are all about vibrations. We are vibrations, right? So the vibrations around us affect us, and we interpret them through this system that just translate vibrations into thoughts, into emotions, into even memories, right? And then our brain is so smart, we pull out features from those sounds, and we code those features or those patterns in our own nerve firings, right? Music actually, when we listen to it often enough, actually becomes a part of our neural programming. We are the music, right? So it happens in 3 areas of our brain: the brain stem, the thalamus, and the auditory cortex. So neurons in our auditory cortex, they distinguish the little fine gradients, they call it, of frequency, and this creates pitch. And this is information to us, right? Pitch, tone, rhythm, sound, vowel sound versus consonant sound. These are all the clues that our brain is using to very quickly put this together as language, as communication. And it seems we innately seem to possess musicality in our systems, right? The ability to create or respond to music. That's not something we're taught. Tiny babies in the wombs even, right? Respond to music. It's built into us, hardwired. Turns out music is all about patterns. We have evolved to recognize and be sensitive to patterns for survival. Now, I don't know about you, but I love a pattern. So, of course, we're attracted to music because it's just patterns. It's melodies, harmonies, and rhythms, right? We're constantly anticipating what comes next. This is why we like music we're familiar with, right? In fact, studies show that we're not that crazy about music we've never heard before, or music that we don't understand maybe the way that it's put together, because our brain likes predicting what comes next. If you're in a music appreciation class, you'd learn about chord progressions, right? You have a 1, a 5, a 4, and you repeat that, and pretty soon your brain expects, I'm going to hear that chord 1 again, because we anticipate. We're always anticipating and putting those patterns together, and we like it when we can anticipate what comes next. So there you go. And when we can't predict patterns, like when we listen to new music, that a song you've never heard before, or a type of music, maybe jazz, a kind of music that's hard to predict what's going to happen next, we get bored. We stop listening, right? So we know listening to music releases dopamine, which makes us happy, right? And that release of dopamine is the strongest when music touches us emotionally, when we feel chills or spine tingles, right? Music can do that to us, right? Music can sweep us up into the moment so that we are caught up physically, not just our ears, not just our minds, but that physically you feel it in your skin. You feel that swell that comes through you, right? Music is filling you up from the bottom. Well, music, it turns out, one of the reasons we interpret it is music tricks our brain into thinking it's speech, right? Highly evolved. We have highly evolved speech recognition and pattern brain power as humans. That's, some people say what distinguishes us as humans is this ability, this cognitive ability to string words together and talk about ideas larger than that which we can see and touch. Okay, so music kind of falls into that same category, right? We interpret language, meaning, and emotion through tone. Music is an exaggerated form of speech, right? And it's about tone. While emotion is found in the tone of speech, music can take us even farther. Obviously, you can inspire emotion through words, right? But if it's done through tone, music has much wider range, a much broader range. A trumpet can go much higher than I can sing. A cello can create a chord or a sound so resonant more so than our voices are going to be able to do, right? So music takes this tone, this communication of thought and emotion, gives us a wider range of tools, a wider range. See, and because, we as humans, we mimic the emotions of others around us. We mimic. So music has the same effect on us, right? If you listen to happy music, you can feel happy. If you listen to sad music, it can pull you in the same direction because we follow the emotion of the emotion, and the emotion is indicated by the tone. Kind of complex, right? Now, we had instruments. Music's been around as long as people have been around. They found flutes from 43,000 years ago. We're talking cave drawings in France time frame, right? That there are flutes found at that time. So we were making music way back in the beginning. Every society has music. Every culture has some sort of music, right? Because it is hardwired into us, because it is part of I don't know, maybe it's part of what makes us humans. They say some animals can sing, they see dogs singing, but humans sing without knowing how or how knowing why. You ever see a little kid playing and just sing along with himself? It's just in us. It's just natural, right? Now, 20% of our population, we think about 20% of the population, the empathetic portion of people, those of us, I don't know, I'm highly empathic. I feel and take on the emotions of others around me. Highly sensitive to it. I don't know. We'll talk about empaths one day. Maybe we'll talk about what is an empath one day. We'll talk about that, what an empath is, and why that how that impacts you. But those of us who are considered in that category of empaths, we have a tendency to even think of music as a person, a companion, right? We have an empathy circuit in our brain, and there is indeed a high correlation between those who are highly empathetic and exceptionally sensitive to those around them and their sensitivity to music. So let's see. There was a study. The study looked at 20. I'm going to read this just so you know. 20 UCLA graduates who were given tests on their empathy based on how they could read different situations. Then all of them had their brains scanned while they listened to various pieces of music, including familiar and unfamiliar pieces. When the high empathy undergrads were played music they knew and loved, their brains showed two radical differences from the brains of the lower empathy subjects. One, they showed more activity in the dorsal striatum, which is part of the brain's reward system, which gives us feelings of pleasure. And two, part of their brain associated with social circuitry lit up. The end result, the brain activity of highly empathetic people when they listen to a piece of music they know looks a lot like their brain activity does when they're meeting a friend. It feels like a social experience. And the researchers behind this science say that it could actually be a proxy for a human encounter. In other words, empathetic people don't need to step outside or find somebody to banish feelings of loneliness. They just need to flip through their song list and select one that brings back good memories. Well, I'm going to posit that this is true for all of us, that music has this power for everyone, just maybe more so for those who score high on the empathy score. I don't know. Seems pretty cool. And it turns out there was another interesting study that showed that introducing children to music from other cultures when they were very young helped reduce racism, right? Helped make them accepting of other children and raised their empathy. It actually increased their empathy levels, right? So turns out, so there's a quiz you can take, right, that says how empathic you are, how much empathy you naturally, you can raise your empathy. there are ways to raise your empathy, and that's a good show title for a future date. But if you score high already, it can affect what kind of music you like. It turns out more empathetic people like more melodic music, more romantic music, R&B maybe. People with maybe detail-oriented, more thought-processing people, they prefer things like jazz. So, hard to say. There's actually a quiz. I'm going to look for it and see if I can find the quiz to post. But according to one article I read, there's actually a quiz you can take that tells you how empathetic you are and predicts probably what kind of music that you enjoy. I don't know. That seems kind of weird to me, but it makes sense that different personality types like different kinds of music. I think you could trace that back to all kinds of information, right? But the last part of music I wanted to talk about is sound healing. Now, music is, again, nothing but vibrations, right? And music as therapy has been used as far back as the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks used sound therapy or music therapy to deal with mental illness. I've seen so many clips where music is able to bypass the brain and go straight to, or bypass the thinking part of the brain and go straight to the memory sections. I've seen pictures of folks with Alzheimer's who are completely motionless and unresponsive. I saw one with a lady who had been a ballerina, and yet when they played music, about ballet music, she began to dance, right? In her wheelchair. She began to do the motions of a person who had been totally unresponsive. But music can bring about responses. Music can bring people to a place that maybe mere words could not. Good morning, Debbie. Music has the ability to touch us in ways that just, like I said, if we are touched by music through the gradations of sound, right? The gradations of frequency that indicate tone or that bring us tone. And if tone is what elicits emotions in speech, it only makes sense that the tone of music, the frequencies of music, the wider range of sounds available to us when we start using varieties of things to make music can touch a wider range of emotions. So, sound healing is something that is growing in popularity these days, but it's all around us. But like I said, been used since the days of the ancient Greeks, been used through the millennia. Some of us just discovering it or rediscovering it now. But again, if we go back to our bodies are nothing but, if we are not mass, but just vibration of molecules vibrating so fast together that we appear as a solid being, right? Then it means that, well, then that makes sense then to me that using vibration, using sound as a healing technique to bring all that vibration, how much opportunity. If every cell vibrates, if every cell is part of a system, if every cell vibrates and every system vibrates and every pore in every being in your body all vibrates and they all got their own tune, seems to me something that helps align those up has to be good for us. There are vibrational things going on that we are unaware of that are impacting us, causing us to feel certain ways, and we can then that's a two-way street. We can impact those ways we feel through the vibrations that we offer our body. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience with sound healing. I have a very dear friend who is Arjan Morelic. If you can look her up on Sacred Sound Journey, she is a gong master, and she's been studying sound healing for years and years and years. And in fact, she is a gong master extraordinaire. I don't know. She can make that gong make sounds that the first time I heard it, I had to open my eyes because I wondered what music she had turned on to play with her, because I couldn't believe all those sounds were coming from the gongs. So back before COVID, when we all went where we wanted and did what we wanted, right? She offered a series of sound healings on a regular basis, once a month, and asked me if I could accompany her to help. I like to say, her roadie. I got to go to the sound healings, do a little bit of the setup, help greet the guests, and then I get to participate at the sound healings every time. So I went one time. She'd been doing this for a while, and she had asked me to come, and I kept putting it off. Yeah, you want to support your friends. I'll come. So finally I did. Finally signed up, paid my money, came to the event, and was so blown away, so amazed at how I felt, how deeply I felt, how it helped me to meditate, how the sound, about the sound healing through crystal bowls, through tuning forks, through mostly the gongs, transport you away into some other place almost, but deep meditation. I was overwhelmed. I was just could not believe how I felt after this one evening of sound healing. Like my feet weren't touching the floor, right? Like I was walking on air. Like a big smile that wouldn't come off my face. Like a feeling of connectedness to the universe and to every living creature, past and present and future. A connection to my ancestors. A trip on the astral plane. I don't know how to describe it. Lots of greatness came out of this thing. And then I got the opportunity to go every month when she asked me to be her assistant. Like the cumulative effects of any good therapy, whether you like to go to the chiropractor or the acupuncturist or massage therapy, it doesn't matter. Once is good, but continuous is better, and you just get the benefits over and over. So I started going to the sound healings every single month for almost 2 years. I don't think I've ever been happier. Honestly, looking back at that time, I don't think I've ever felt more centered, more balanced, more connected, or happier than I did at that time when I could regularly go to those sound healings. I miss them. I can't wait for things. I need to get back into the rhythm as life starts taking on again. It's not conducive to the COVID environment. It's a lot of people very close in a room together, but I'm sure we can find the benefits. I'm sure I can find the benefits by going out and looking for them, of sound healing beyond that room with the gong. But okay, this makes sense, right? Because sound healing, what it does basically is it synchronizes our brainwaves, right? To achieve profound states of relaxation and restoring us to balance, right? To normal, to aligned. Sound healing synchronizes brainwaves. It can shift a low frequency. Now, think of negative emotions are considered low frequency, right? When you are sitting in guilt or shame or resentment or anger or disappointment or sadness, the vibrations slow down around us, right? We're in a low vibrational mode, and sound healing has the ability to shift those frequencies to high frequencies of joy and happiness, love, and it's kind of a shortcut, right? It's kind of without thinking about it. Without going through why am I feeling sad? What can I do to feel better? Just the raising of the vibrations around you change your vibrations and your mood. And it's pretty amazing. I mean, our body is 75% water, right? And water is an excellent conductor of vibrations. We know that water is a highly tuned conductor. And so when vibrations travel through your body, all kinds of goodness is happening here. You promote circulation, energy flow, and rejuvenation. And what can happen? There are benefits. Lowers your stress levels, can eliminate your mood swings or give you fewer mood swings. Lowers your blood pressure. That's good. Lowers your cholesterol, improves your sleep. Like I said, I feel like it just put me in a state of well-being or feeling of contentedness, of feeling at one with the world, at one with everything. That was really hard to shake. I don't know. Loved it. So I'm looking into more about sound healing, and I miss it. And now this chat has made me miss it even more. So go out and find me some sound healing. But we're going to end with one of the most powerful sound healings that there is vocal toning. Vocal toning right here. That's right. No equipment necessary. Very little training necessary. It is all right here in our voices. And, ancestors used this chanting in groups. Very, very powerful. This is why mantras are so powerful, right? Because it's vocal toning. It's us repeating sounds that have deeper meaning, that touch our brain in ways. I'm babbling because I can't even talk to you about, I don't even know all the power of vocal toning. I'd like to learn more about it. But the most powerful tool, the only thing stronger than a gong, according to some sound healers, in reaching to us, is our own vocal toning. It's basically one steady tone to balance yourselves and open up your energetic pathways. That's what vocal toning is. And it's based on the vowel sounds. Now, I am no expert at this. I am learning this along with you. So I'm going to post a vocal toning YouTube video that I found that I thought was really simple and straightforward on just how to Vocal tones are based on the vowels. We all know the vowels, right? Is you make your mouth into different shapes to hold these different vowels. A, E, I, O, U. You will notice a different resonance. You will notice that resonance happens in different places of your body. You'll notice that different vowels have different impacts, and each is assigned or each has a specific area or purpose. I wish I knew more about this. It would be nice if I brought it up, but I'm going to invite you to go look into vocal tuning if you are interested in sound healing as a way to align yourselves, get you some happiness. I don't know, maybe that was a long jump from music to vocal toning. It's a subject way too big for this little half hour, right? Anyway, that's the story for today. We love music. Everybody loves music. You want to get in a good mood? Go put on your favorite songs. You know what? There's something about familiar songs, right? The what do you call it? What did I call it? The soundtrack of our lives. Music that's been important to you. The music that was playing an important moment in your life. A song that can always transport you to a different place. Music has power, and I don't know. In the tools of happiness, don't forget this. Don't forget about music. Sure, you could. There's lots of ways to scientifically that we talk about being happier, right? There's lots of proven ways to get happier, and I'm going to say listening to music is definitely high on that list. Mood changer, cell realigner. Sing along with the music and you get even more power because now you are involving your own vocal tuning along with the vibrations. So that's the show today. Raise your vibrations. Go out and listen to some music today. Raise your vibrations and let's have a happy weekend. Until Monday, make it a happy day.